What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Blazed and Confused, the podcast where curiosity is high, confidence is questionable, and logic usually shows up late. I'm Max, as always.
And I'm Noah.
And this week, like we promised last episode, we did bring on a guest. They're going to talk to us about some stuff that they have knowledge on. I'm going to go ahead and introduce them. It's my dad, John.
Hello, everyone.
So, like I said, this week we're going to talk about something that my dad had mentioned before, and I always thought they were kind of cool. There was one bar in town that used to still have them even as I was growing up. Obviously, times have changed. They're gone now completely, and you can almost never find them. Have you ever seen cigarette vending machines, Noah?
Yeah. Growing up, my mom was a bartender, so I would hang out in the bars, if she had to work on the weekends or something like that during the opening shifts there for the day. And a couple of them that she had worked at had the old school like turn stop, like the turn knob, not even like you look at a vending machine today, it's got pictures and everything else on it. This one just had whatever carton of cigarettes, and you twisted it and it dropped out.
See, and that's crazy. And so my dad had mentioned it. When was it, Dad, you had first encountered them?
I can remember every single Sunday we would go to Mr. Donuts. And I don't know why it sticks with me as a memory, but I remember walking in Mr. Donut, and to the left, there was a cigarette vending machine. And no matter what, every weekend, if I was in there with my dad for 5 minutes or 55 seconds, there was somebody buying a pack of cigarettes. And it was just like Noah said, you drop your change in there. There was no dollar vendor on there. And I can still hear the sound. And then it would drop the pack of cigarettes. And there's nobody there to check your ID like it is today. You could have walked in there at 6 years old and bought a pack of smokes.
The good old days.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is, like, how did they literally just let anybody walk in and buy smokes?
I never heard them say, "Hey, what are you doing?" or stop anyone. I remember as a kid even going with friends that were given money by their parents to run to the local, either like corner little convenience store or a gas station, and it was here's some money, run up there, get me a pack of smokes, and you guys get some candy or chips or whatever you want with what's left. And 8, 9, 10 years old, going to the gas station, and they knew it was for your parents, or at least they assumed. But yeah, totally different times, and like I said, the one I remember was in Mr. Donut. That's the one that sticks in my mind every weekend seeing it. But they were everywhere.
Right.
They were in every gas station. It was the only place I don't remember seeing them was like at school.
Which is odd, because a place like Mr. Donut, with no knowledge of it, sounds like a Dunkin' Donuts.
Actually, the Dunkin' Donuts locations moved into where the Mr. Donut locations were. But yeah, it's exactly the same, just a different name now.
And that's crazy. And they had cigarette vending machines. Where else did you see these vending machines? Obviously, we all know the one local, being Hammers. That was one that always, I remember going in there in high school and being like, what in the hell is that? And then kind of being told what it is. It was obviously no longer in service, but how many other places besides bars and I guess donut stands did you see these?
Bowling alleys, every bowling alley had them, and I went there a lot with my dad too.
Pool
But
halls.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
the
pool
pool hall.
halls, everywhere. Gas stations typically didn't have them unless it was a really small one, because gas stations sold cigarettes. But bars, their bartenders didn't sell the cigarettes. They used vending machines. So anywhere you can imagine that there would be a mass of people from age, I'm guessing 13 to, near death,
That's
everywhere
crazy.
had cigarette vending machines. Everywhere.
So is it
I
like
mean, you got
how
to
it
think though, like that was the fad at the time.
right,
I mean, in an earlier podcast, we talked about diet cigarettes.
right,
That
right.
was a fad back in the day. I mean, hell, the cars come with ashtrays in them. For a
And the
while, I
cigarette
owned a
lighters. You remember those?
yeah,
Cigarette
man,
lighters,
dude,
baby.
I owned
Oh
a
yeah.
'72 Oldsmobile, and the back seat it
Had
had
one.
right there in the door. It had little
Yep.
flip up ashtrays
Yeah.
that just come in the cars back then. It's like you can't even smoke in a car now.
Yeah,
If you
right.
got a kid, back then they're like, "Hey, roll the windows up, ash in the." You ain't even
Yeah.
got to roll the window down to ash outside. We got an ashtray built into the car. You're good. Everybody's fine.
Which is wild.
Everybody smoked. Everybody.
Yeah.
So
It
how would they clean out the ashtrays in a car? That's all I'm thinking about. One time you leave the windows cracked and it's raining in on that ash. Now you have like a ash cement puck sitting in your car door.
my dad, as I grew up, my dad smoked. And I remember he would always have the window cracked. Or back in the day, most vehicles had what they called a wing that was
Yep.
on the front
Yep.
of in front of the window. If you guys remember, I know some of the people listening probably will too. It was the coolest invention in the world. And I was kind of bummed when they got rid of it. You could crack that open, and smokers used it consistently. You could tell if the car you bought, you could tell if a smoker owned it because they would always tip that ash and it would just suck it out the window there. And the only time you would ever see a cigarette put out in the ashtray was, if they were a sophisticated person, I'm guessing. But yeah, most everybody tip their ash out that window, and then you might find the cigarette butts in the ashtray. And then, they would, you would find them everywhere. Like, okay, I remember growing up, everybody cleaned out their ashtray at the best place possible, the gas station, because you can't even smoke in a gas station now. They'll shoot you. But back in the day, everybody cleaned out their ashtrays right there on that little, the gas pump island. Everybody, you'd hear them banging their their ashes out right there. Oh, it's crazy.
That is wild. And to think, I mean, it's not that far in the past. I mean, it's a decent amount, not to age you, but I mean, to think that smoking was that heavy in the culture and then stopped kind of once they couldn't lie about the health issues. Um, it's crazy how it stopped. I don't know if you've watched. It made me laugh. Mad Men. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
first episode, he's trying to come up with like a new slogan for a cigarette company because the health stuff just comes out, and they're like, "Well, we got to find somewhere else to pivot." And he spends all this time still trying to sell cigarettes, knowing like he has a internal dilemma. He's like, "Man, they're killing you," but he's smoking and advertising it.
Everybody smoked everywhere. It was, I mean, TV shows, everywhere you went, it wasn't like a taboo thing. I
No, I
remember,
remember. I'm only 30, and I remember being asked smoking or non-smoking at the restaurants.
correct. I was just going to bring that up. I remember when that happened. And bars, I never thought there'd be a time where you'd go into a bar and it wouldn't smell like smoke. And I can
No.
remember younger going out to the bars and hanging out, and the next morning you'd get up and everything you were wearing smelled of cigarette smoke.
I
Everything.
tell you what, OG place to eat, but Marshall's Tap. I remember going in there as a kid when they still had the restaurant part, and it was smoking or no smoking, and it was basically just there's some tables over here in the corner,
Yeah.
And
right?
then there's some table
You
over
sit
here in the
below
corner.
the air
But
duct
there is
or
just
before
this
it.
line of smoke that you can see when you walk in the door through the lighting. And it's like, smoking or no smoking? It's like, it doesn't matter.
Everything's
I
already
remember
smoked.
McDonald's had the little cheap, like they're made out of like aluminum foil ashtrays in McDonald's, and you wouldn't even think of that today. But back in the day, McDonald's, they had people were smoking everywhere, and
Oh, yeah.
the cigarette machines were essentially everywhere because there's only 20 cigarettes in there, and most good smokers at the time would smoke a pack or more a day.
So
Shoot, there were areas at schools, at high schools, that had a smoking area for the students. You wouldn't even think of that
yeah, that's
today.
wild. I was just gonna
Yeah.
ask though, thinking about it again, were the cigarette and the vending machine prices different than the ones at the gas station? Kind of like how if you
No,
buy a soda
hardly.
at a vending machine, it was like $1.80. If you buy a whole box of soda, it was like $1.
Nope. Very small difference in price. Of course, cigarettes back in the day were cheap compared to today. Um,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but very, very small amount of difference. Slightly more, obviously, because of the
Right.
convenience factor. But
Right.
yeah, not like you would anticipate. There weren't twice as much or anything crazy.
Aside of like cigarette vending machines being a wild thing, have you ever looked up like back in the day some of the older vending machines? Like I just did a quick search, just looking of like some of the different vending machines from in history. And back in the day, they had like hot soup dispensers, milk in carton,
They still do, dude.
uh,
It's just
fresh
it
cooked
depends on where
pizza
you
makers.
go.
This one says a potato machine dispensed fresh potatoes. Like
I haven't ever seen that one.
that's
But
crazy.
dude, if you think that's crazy, side note, we're a little bit more in the future here. Have you
Oh,
seen the vending machines that Japan has?
Oh my God. I
the
was going to bring that up.
Japan's living in way beyond where we're at right now,
It's
man. Like they
crazy.
got
I think you could
everything.
order a Thanksgiving dinner at a vending
Oh,
machine in
not
Japan.
just that too. At the vending machine right next to it, you could get a full dining room table set.
That's
Like
crazy.
that's how crazy they are. But to get back on topic here, now that we've fantasized the crazy vending machines. So here's the only argument I'm gonna make. Obviously, smoking is bad for you. We've made that clear. Everything has made that clear. If you make the choice
Is
to
it
do it,
though?
I don't know, man. That's for everybody to form their own opinion, which is what I
I've
was
just
just
seen
gonna
people
say.
live till like 90
Oh
something
yeah,
and they
yeah,
smoke every day
yep. I think
and drink
it
like
is.
Dr. Pepper. It's not like they're
Yeah.
out here living a
It's
super. They're like, oh
that's the
yeah.
perfect combination though. It's got to be the worst of the worst with the worst of the worst. Like, oh, I smoke 4 packs a day. I drink 14 Diet Cokes and I eat one hard boiled egg. And you're like, what? You're
And
fucking 112.
and I drink a glass of famous grouse
Yeah,
whiskey
yeah.
right before I go to bed.
and and they live like that. But whatever. If we're told they're bad, I'm going with that. But I do want to make one argument to bring back the cigarette vending machines and blues bars. I have had this pipe dream of being able to go back in time. You know what I'm talking about when they're playing all those crazy old blues, like the first time that you hear something crazy and you're sitting in this smoky bar, no
Like
lights
not
in
a
it.
jazz bar, but a straight up blues bar.
Blues bar. Oh yeah. I want that to come back. And for that, I'll petition for the vending machines to come back.
One last thing about those vending machines that I remember, and it's hazy, but I think I'm correct. I want to say that you could pull one of those knobs, or I don't know what it was, but it would dispense a pack um of matches for you if you made a
That's
Oh
awesome.
purchase.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
nothing
cool.
says great for a 6-year-old like a pack of Pall Mall
And a
non-filters, and
box
here's
of uncounted matches.
here's
I
some
tell you what's
matches.
crazy. Uh, Speaking of like matches and stuff, You go to most gas stations, they a lot of places still do matches. Like just give matches away for free with
Yeah.
their company logo on it. Just nobody ever takes them because nobody ever uses matches. I like to take free things, so I always take them. And my car, I got a stack of matches from just different businesses, but they're
And
usually like older businesses that have been around for a while that do it. It's nothing new. You know what I'm saying? Like
you know
a
what's
lot of
Right.
new
crazy too?
places do with like lighters or something like that because that's modern times and that's what everybody uses. But the older businesses, like a lot of the bars and stuff like that that have been around for a while, they do the matches. And it's like I bet you they had them vending machines here.
Probably.
Everybody had matches back in the day too, because everybody smoked. And what a
Hmm.
better way
Yep.
to advertise your business than to give something you knew everybody was going to need.
Yeah, I mean
Which is
Zippos were real
crazy.
popular then too. I mean, I'm not saying they're
Yeah,
not now, but I feel like everyone's just there's a lot more of the like Bic lighters, the
Yeah. Yep.
disposable ones you can just get rid of. My dad had a Zippo that he had forever, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world to have that Zippo. Just that flick of that lighter, just the
Oh
tick
yeah.
flick. But he'd sit there and refill it. But I don't know. It kind of sucks to see that dying out. You don't see many Zippos anymore. If someone's got a Zippo, it's usually an older person.
yep. You can hear that clink from the
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
lid opening.
Yeah. And then they got crazy, and Zippo was like, you know what? We made electrical ones, but we've been on these for a while. Nobody wanted electric. You know what I'm talking? Where they shoot the arc and it's flameless.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Goofy to
Oh
me,
yeah, where
but
they got you can like burn anything with it.
yep.
And am I correct here? I'm not a cigar smoker, but I know a lot of cigar smoking guys and gals, I'm guessing. Um, don't they use matches? They prefer lighting them with matches because it affects the flavor. Am I correct?
Actually, yeah, it's that, and they've got some new thing. It's like a butane torch, but it's not butane. It's I don't even know what to call it. A low temp flame. It kind of looks. You'll have to look it up. They're crazy what they are. It's this like torch, but it's like a flamethrower when they're not shooting flames. It's just that open flame.
Now I
They
would
use
petition
those.
for like a nice cigar bar in that blues bar there, more than a
Yeah,
cigarette
the
dispenser. But
combine them.
I feel like cigars go more with the blues vibe, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, I
You would
mean, shit. You look at any old blues artist; they were always smoking.
you
Yeah.
you think that if you charge and it's like a club, I think you can get away with that with a
Right.
smoking environment because everybody knows that coming into there, so it's not a public
Yeah, it
deal
wouldn't be a bar. It would be like a private. Uh,
club.
yeah, which is like
Yeah.
a country club, but less high end, I guess. Well,
Next big idea.
yeah. You know what? It sounds like potential lawsuits, but might have to look into it. Um, Circling back to old things, what do you guys think about all these like super old houses, like, you know, borderline historical, being ripped down or tore down if they have like no, and this is from an outside view looking in, no structural damage that's visible. It looks like a beautiful house, and even if there is structural damage, why are we not able to fix it, you know?
The I think that's where we've lucked out a lot in having historical societies because they are saving those things. Um, I've
But
traveled
I feel like
to
it's kind of pick and choose, don't you?
unfortunately, they have districts and zones and areas, and if it doesn't have some historical precedence, they're kicked to the curb essentially, and they're not protected. And um, I've gone to Savannah several times and talk about a beautiful old historic location, and they were actually losing a ton of their old historic homes because of development. And the crazy thing happened there. a group of women got together and started buying them up instead of letting them go to the wrecking ball. There's one area down there I can still remember. I'm not great with the location of where it is or what their name is or anything, but shout out to them. They bought a house or two that they were going to tear down and put up a parking deck because nothing screams beauty like a brand new parking deck
Yeah, a big
in a
concrete
historic location.
eyesore.
Yeah, yeah. So, but not just Savannah. I mean, look at all these local communities that have these beautiful big houses and yeah, they have good bones and they need some work and there's probably some deferred maintenance and some issues that they need help with and a little modernization and boy, people just don't. I don't get it. I mean, I've been in construction my whole life, and it always floors me when you see something that somebody built, 100, 200 years ago that's still stunningly beautiful that just needs a little bit of help, and we're tearing them down. Um,
Yeah.
I
Well,
Max, I think you've been to City Museum down in
oh
St.
yeah.
Louis.
Yeah.
Um, City Museum is pretty cool when the kind of what they do is they repurpose everything from buildings they're tearing down. And it's kind of cool. It's great for the kids. And as an adult, I still love going there. But they also have an area that's like architectural, historical things. And you're like, man, this was going to a landfill before they saved this. And it's real disheartening.
Well, and it almost makes you wonder, um, why, what makes somebody, I mean, obviously money, but it makes you think, what makes somebody look at something that someone built years ago that is standing before them? It was probably, just a run of the mill house back then, but they're just like, you know what? I really think a 17 level parking deck made out of solid concrete and rebar will charge them $22 an hour for parking and then 30 for every hour after the first. Let's tear down all these really nice houses and we'll just do that. It's crazy.
I, I I'm probably different than most people, but I love the beauty in the old architecture. And you think somebody, think about like we were just saying with the vending machines. That wasn't that long ago. Think about building a house 100 years ago, how different it was, how
Well, yeah,
much
and a
more
lot of pieces are
craftsman,
solid wood.
yeah,
It's not
craftsmanship
like what we
and
have.
correct.
You know, it almost makes me want to put on my tinfoil hat here. I got a theory. Uh, what if it's because they're ghost hunters getting rid of ghosts? You ever think about that?
They're just moving to the new houses.
Well,
That's
I don't know though. I've watched a lot of seasons of Ghost Adventures and whatnot, and now I am, kind of wondering maybe they're breaking the bonds to the house. Ghosts are being free by building 18 level parking decks.
not to sound crazy. I built a house for a couple. Oh my gosh, I don't know how long it's been now. 15 years or so at least. And it was genuinely haunted right out of the gate. And I dreaded going there to do any work for them the following year when I went in to do punch list stuff. I kid you not, I was sitting there with the homeowner in the kitchen talking to her, and a Lego came flying in from the living room 20 feet away. Guess who was in the living room? No one.
Little Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah, you would hear feet running up and down the hallway. It was crazy, crazy. So, yeah, that's another episode, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we just did one for cryptids. So maybe we'll have to do one for ghosts because, I've got some experiences. I know you do, but, I think Noah might have some.
Speaking of ghosts, that's probably why they tore down the old state hospital in Bartonville here.
You know what? I believe it. You know, they had a bunch of like, well, Dad, you would know what was the biggest team that they brought in? It wasn't Ghost Adventures, was it, or any like buddy like that?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like
They
Ghost
did
It
Hunters
bring
or
it,
was.
something, wasn't
actually.
it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. They
Was
Yeah.
both
it
came.
Zach Baggins or that bald dude?
The bald dude. He came in.
Okay, cool. Thank God it
Yeah.
wasn't Zach Baggins. He would have been like, a demon came out and scratched my anus.
We need to have a whole episode on that. Holy
Oh yeah,
cow. Do I? Yeah, there's a lot of people that place has
I
burnt
mean,
memories in their brain.
I was a skeptic as a teenager when we worked, and I mean, yeah, I almost full heartedly believe in ghosts. I'm almost convinced, but I don't know.
Piano?
But
Piano?
well, yeah, I mean that I don't I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
That piano, I'm good. That piano, I hope, is gone. But yeah, no, I think you know what. Now that you reminded me of that, yeah, I could probably tear down some old like Victorian houses because that shit wasn't cool.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I tell you what, I went to this house. I had to go change out a piece of plate glass for him. Man, I walked in their house, all hardwood original, but this house was huge. And
That's what I'm saying, dude. Look at
I
how big
asked the,
houses used to be.
I
yeah.
asked him, I was like, so what did this used to be? Was it always a house? And they're like, no, actually, it was a funeral parlor.
Yeah, nah, I'm out.
Those are
They got
awesome.
Place
turned
your own
into a
glass.
house. But man, this place was huge. But they said a lot of houses used to be like that. Like a lot of big houses doubled as funeral parlors too. It's
Yeah,
just
the
how it
Yeah.
went.
funeral parlors back in the day, I did some work on one in Elmwood that's stunning. And thankfully they have rehabbed it to the point where it's going to stick around for a while now. But the main floor that was the funeral parlor where they had, their whatever when you go in there for the wake and everybody comes to
Oh
visit the
yeah, like
body.
the viewing room or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, all of that was beautiful. And then the second floor is where the people that ran and owned the funeral parlor lived. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you're living in that location. So think about those kids growing up. Boy, they caught some grief in school, I'm sure.
Oh,
No kidding.
I'd be scared. You know, like
Little Timmy
I
came to school smelling like formaldehyde again.
yeah.
Oh boy.
Be like, what are
Yeah.
you, the Adams family? And
Yeah.
just creepy, you know. But they are beautiful, man. They're a lost
Oh yeah.
treasure. But a lot of people that, unfortunately, you got to throw so much money into them, to really
Right.
renovate them
Yeah.
the way that you need to. But at the same time, you look at the way things are built now, and it's like you go. So my house is older. It was built in the 20s. Um, you look at some of it, I'm renovating it, but we redo some of it, and I'm like, wow, some of these 2x4s are actual 2x4s.
Yeah.
Right. Like
That's
raw
real
wood.
wood, and then you add in your new 2x4, and you're like, well, hell, this thing's half the size of this old 2x4.
Yeah. Some of these old boards didn't even know what they were when they were put in. They were probably put in as a 2x4, but then swelled and contracted like 9 times.
I mean,
I
back then, I don't know. I can't say for sure. Sure I could Google it real quick. I don't know if they had treated lumber back then or if it was just lumber. You just,
No,
I
they
have
you
no
had
know.
idea.
different ways of doing stuff though. I know, I mean they used to put copper instead of they'd put that on what they called the mud sill, and that was the barrier because termites wouldn't come through that. And but there's all that kind of cool stuff that they still knew they had to do something different than we did. But like you said just a few minutes ago, Noah, you got these big massive houses that have 30, 40, 50 windows. Most of the windows are single pane. It's a nightmare to heat them. They usually don't have forced air. They don't have air conditioning. There's a lot of retrofits going on stuff, and a lot of times I think people are just like, if I'm going to spend this kind of money, I'm going to spend it on a new house. And
Right.
I don't understand their thinking a lot of times because they have good bones. They're beautiful, tall ceilings, beautiful flooring, built-ins, all the details and the trim and the masonry. We just can't, we don't even come close to being similar to those these days.
Oh,
And
not at all. I mean, it's definitely something. Like I said, it's the lost treasure is what it's becoming. But it's just because people don't realize what they got, and unfortunately, I think the housing market is nowhere like it is with vehicles. I do a lot of swapping on vehicles, and people love old vehicles, but you gotta have certain old vehicles at certain times, and they
And they
love them.
have to be pristine.
yeah,
Yeah,
but think about the money and time and effort they put into those, Noah. People
and
don't want to do
exactly.
that times 100 on a house.
They don't, unfortunately. And
I
with
know.
them older houses, you never get it back out of it because, like you said, it doesn't have the forced air. I live in a house. We got radiators. I'm on a boiler, but I got these big, old school radiators. I love them.
I know.
Like the ones that you used to have in school, like the big ziggy zaggy ones.
Oh yeah, dude. The only downside is great for a heating bill, but it's terrible
Right.
when it comes to the summer because I have no AC. But I do have a whole
Yeah,
house
I'm out.
fan. The whole house fan is amazing.
Dude, I know. So what happened with those? Maybe you can fill me in on this, Dad, because you've been building houses. Why did they get rid of whole house fans? Do we think that AC is better?
Yeah, and people with a whole house fan, you turn that thing on, you got to have all the windows open and usually the screen doors and everything, and it sucks all that pollen and dust in, and people hate. Everybody wants this conditioned space. They hate fresh air anymore. It seems like, and
I'm
I
telling
mean,
you, allergies would be at an all-time low if we brought them back.
well, I can tell you this much. I would have died for one in the house when I was growing up. We had air conditioning, but my mom and dad did not believe in turning it on ever.
Mm.
So I laid in bed sweating to death till usually 2 or 3 in the morning. I probably would have been a
I
straight
couldn't
A
do that.
student if it weren't for that. I
If
hope
it
you're
weren't
listening,
cooking
Mom.
you.
Yeah. Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Well, between the ghost demon thing that you fought as a child and being sweat out, I think we could probably solve a few issues with you.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
On a list
Yeah.
of
I'll have
many.
to. Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know though. I believe in putting some money into an old house and making it nice again, rather than just tearing them down. You know.
I'm telling you, man. Me and my tin
Yeah.
hat troubadours. It's because of the ghosts. That's the number one reason old houses are gone.
Now, I tell you, there's a few that I see though that I'm like, light it on fire and watch the spirits go
I
flying out the
think
window. You know what
that
I'm saying? Like,
if whenever I walk into an old house, especially like you were just describing, it almost gave me a little bit of nightmares. If they're an old farmhouse and there's more than one mouse that I see within the first 5 feet of the door, I'm setting it on fire, and I'm also setting everything around it on fire because the mice need to go with it.
I tell
Uh,
you what, you want to talk about something that was creepy. At her mom's house, there was a street light type deal, like a lamp post that just barely lit up kind of like the driveway for you, but then it was dark everywhere else. And you'd just be like, you sprint from the light to the front door to get into the next part of the light because you're like, because you're looking out and literally, like, it's barn, and then maybe, I don't know, a good 30 yards of grass, and then boom, it's corn. It's just straight corn, and you're staring there, and you'd look at it, and you're like, I'm pretty sure that old Jebediah is staring at me, getting ready to come get me. Old children of the corn coming for me. I'm getting my ass inside.
The
Yeah.
coolest old
I
houses, I think, are the ones you walk in and it's like they just left, even though it's been vacant for years.
the
It's
airtight ones.
that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And could you think like I get that. Yeah, we've made advancements with woodworking. Could you imagine making a door jamb out of like true hardwood?
Crazy to think about it. Because, I mean, realistically, guys, think about 100 years ago, back in 1925, vehicles were starting to become prevalent, but not everybody had one. Imagine riding your horse to a job. Just think about that.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time. I'm thinking, you, if you were working like in the country, or let's say you're 10 miles outside of the city, and you're riding your horse there, you're like pitching a tent and living there till you're done.
Which is crazy to think about riding a horse with all of your construction tools.
I know. Think about, and your deliveries. You're not going to go alone and call the lumber yard and say, yeah, I need another 52 by fours. Nope.
Yeah.
You gotta send a messenger.
Yeah. And you're gonna
Yeah,
We'll
send
or
him
we'll
you
over
can
get our
horse
order it
and
right out
supplies,
of the
and
Sears catalog.
I know that's
yeah.
crazy to think about it. That I just
Could
saw
you
something on that.
imagine if you could just go order a house out of a catalog still today? Just be like, all right, here's
I
your build your own house kit. Like,
I just I just saw a thing, and I forget how many they sold, but it was a crazy number, and it was usually delivered on a train car, and it was everything you needed to build your house. It wasn't like, okay, here's the load for your foundation and the main floor. No, it's like, here's everything you need. Figure
here's your
out how to get it
trusses, here's
home.
your
Also,
walls.
get it
Yeah.
off of the train in an hour.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I just can't.
The whole
That
town to build a house.
we have got it so good compared to even 100 years ago, which is not that long ago.
Oh,
Yeah, no, that's
I'd like
crazy.
to think about, like, could you imagine building one of the old houses, like, because every once in a while they'll send me out to do some residential glass work, and it's usually older houses with bigger pieces of glass. And you'll get there and you're like, huh, start taking it apart. You're like, man, when was this house built? Oh, back in 1945 or
Built
something. You're like,
1778.
yeah, you're like, good God, imagine if this guy just had a Milwaukee nail gun or an empath or something. Holy God, there's so many nails just driven into everything, but and everything's harder than hell to take apart. But you're like, wow, this thing was built to last. Like,
Oh yeah, but I
I'm
mean,
sorry, go
look at
ahead with your sidetrack.
no, you're good. Look at how the Amish are still building it. I think now they're getting more modernized tools, but I mean, have you seen some of the videos where they go and they build an entire pole barn with just them, like no equipment,
Yeah.
hammer,
It's
Yes.
nails?
it's efficient, and it is
It's crazy.
amazing.
They
It's
get it built
amazing.
in
Yes.
like 2 days.
Oh, they're
It,
so quick. It always makes me think of the Family Guy episode when he goes to
Oh yeah,
battle with them and he
yeah,
blows
and they're
up their
just
pole
building
barn
everything.
with his missile launcher, and then they just build another one real quick, and he's like, oh,
Yeah,
and blows it up. They build another one. He's like, wow, these guys are really quick.
yeah. I'm telling you, dude.
Have you seen them
I
move them? Speaking of
yes,
how the
no.
Amish do things, I
where
mean,
they
it's not
you
like,
all you see
oh,
is
hey
feet.
guys, we built this. Now we got to put it on a crane. No, it's just the entire Amish fucking community picking it up, walking it like it's nothing.
Yep, that's all you see is their feet, and they carry it
Yes.
That's
a
crazy.
mile. That
Yeah, and those guys,
Wow.
it's
this
not
will
like they're a bunch of bodybuilders out there. It's just regular Joe Schmoes like me and you out here. Just a lot of them, but they make it look effortless. And you know that thing's not light because it's made to last.
Oh yeah.
this will
I don't
date
get it.
me. I remember when I started in construction. I remember the first battery operated drill that came out. What a piece of shit. But it was the coolest thing on the planet then. It had the crappiest battery. It didn't last very long. They were expensive as can be. But, that was if you compared it to what we have today, I wouldn't give you 10 cents for it. But back then, it's like, oh, wow, what a cool advancement. Not even close. And that's what
Yeah, I
we're
mean, like a
dealing with.
huge advancement there for like screwing or drilling back in the day.
Yep.
I mean, it was like a handle and then it was a turn knob, if I remember correct.
The old brace and bit.
Yeah, the turn knob was a huge advancement. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we went from drilling it with just turning it by your hand and hoping you got through it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have seen or I've read some information on just even think about nails. You know, they're mass produced now, like millions a second. Back in the day, people would for extra money make nails like
Yeah.
in their house. I think it was George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, one of them. There's writings about them sitting around in the wintertime and making nails.
Yeah, probably out of lead too. Super healthy.
I
We
just
went to
can't
drive the
imagine that.
nail and
You're
it
like,
just mushed.
all right, kids, if we want to go on our trip next year, we're gonna all have to make 50 nails a day. That's
Wow.
and it's insane how well, Noah, you're talking about residential. Think about the commercial buildings like in the big towns. Think about
Well, hold up
them,
though. Those were made out of
Oh
brick,
yeah.
and those did
Oh
get
I
unstable.
oh yeah, I tell you what, like
multi-story.
I so not oh well, I've been on a couple multi-story. That would have been back a couple years ago. I was in Bloomington. We walked up to the third story, but the whole floor was rickety. But the building was falling in. Like the building was pretty well condemned. They were just the city, I think, was trying to save it what they could. But it's like,
And they
oh
had
wow, this
new
is
windows in it.
yeah. They want a new window. And I can tell you that's not saving this place, you know. But
Are they structural?
yeah. We
You
we
had to
did some
break the
stuff.
old one while the
Well,
new one's in there.
some places were built to last, some places weren't. Because we've done some work at Caterpillar, and Caterpillar was brick and mortar, and it's still brick and mortar, but it's built to last. Like we took the windows out, and they got bolts onto I beams, onto L brackets, welded together. I was like, good God, this place is ready for a nuclear bomb. I
I
mean,
mean, could you imagine tornadoes in old houses, dude? Like the houses, you'd be okay, but the big industrial ones, if they're not built like that, could you imagine?
Wizard
oh
of
You
yeah.
Oz.
get anything old, yeah, you get anything over 10 mile an hour, it's blowing the wall in.
Oh
The
yeah.
wolf won that one.
I built a house for a gentleman in Chillicothe years ago. His family came into some money, and he was living in an extremely old, like you're talking, very rickety farmhouse. And it was kind of funny, but not. He said in the wintertime, there was so little insulation in his house that when he'd take a glass out of the kitchen cupboard, it would be frosted.
Hey,
Yeah. And
all
he
he
wasn't
needed was a
lying.
little bit of a alcoholic beverage, and he's in it.
Can you imagine though? I think
No,
my Max, you would have been,
yeah, I would have been out. That
yeah,
house would have been gone. I
yeah.
don't care if it's all I had. I would have chanced it in the wilderness. So today we learned two things. Old houses were built different, and vending machines got a little wacky.
And some things just should not change. I mean, that's kind of something that we all agreed on. It. We should keep these old
Yeah.
houses. Some of these vending machines should make a comeback. You know, Blues Bar
Yep.
should make a comeback. Can't forget about
Yes.
that.
Hell yeah.
You know, I'd love to
I mean,
see a potato dispenser make a comeback. Never heard of that. Never seen that. You know, I also read that they had one that would dispense uh whiskey, ice cold
all
whiskey.
What?
right, I'm in.
It gave you like a cup and then it dispensed ice cold whiskey out of it. I'll tell you right now, you give me a cigarette vending machine, a whiskey vending machine, and a blues bar
And a potato.
and a potato. You got me for the day, you know?
Oh god. I'm telling you, man. it's worth to look back into. I mean, everybody's getting all upset. There's not enough people to work. I mean,
Yeah,
vending
then I can go get in my
machines-
old car and drive back to my old house.
Yep.
And clean out your cigarette butts.
Yes,
Yeah.
clean out my
Smack your
ashtray in my
ashtray
car.
on the curb.
Yeah, walk into my old vintage house, make sure that my single pane glass windows are my vintage wife is here, my single pane windows aren't broke, and there's mice in the house.
Ah, dude,
Well,
I'm
yeah.
out, dude. All right. Well, on that note, we want to give a thanks to John for being our first guest. Hope you had a good time here.
Loved
And,
it.
you know, like always, this has been Blazed and Confused. Stay curious. We're out.